welcome to another episode of The Man Space. My co-host Kunle and I are so honored week after week to feature and have conversations with different gentlemen, different parts of the world, doing differently meaningful things to move our society forward, while at the same time, these gentlemen dealing with their own challenges, their own pain points, and figuring out how to make life work. And the men's space is especially created to build a safe place and a space for men so that they feel supported, they feel invigorated, and they feel that they have a community to belong and they have that safety to be able to bring those conversations and their pain points to closure with the support. Today, you are going to love our guest and our conversation. And our audience, you're going to be wondering why is Dr. Kaz in this environment dressed this way? We're going to be talking to a former student of mine who is a professional in the business world, but a super, super creative soul who is able to balance the business and the creative. And in honor of his creative spirit, I am showing up in my creative spirit outside of my business world so that my creative presence is also felt as owed to my student, Kyle Crawford. Kyle, welcome to the Man's Space.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. I really appreciate you having me back.
Absolutely a joy to have you back. And there is nothing more joyful for a professor to see a student do so well and keep making an impact in the world, because that is the biggest reward. Talk to us about how are you combining your professional work as a technical writer in the technology AI space and staying in touch with your creative side. You're a writer, and there are so many other creative outlets you're involved in. What are those, and how do you merge the two to remain a whole person?
Yes, appreciate you making that inquiry. It's something that I've cultivated now since 2015, where I did attend North Park University as an MBA student to better inform my business decisions. But I also saw my business experience as a means to um, empower my educational experience as well, to give it a more real life impact. So that combination of education and vocation were met from the creative idea of integrating the two.
Okay, that sounds so great. And I mean, whenever I see, any creative, there is a little spark in me, because I also try as much as possible to, do something in that niche as well. So
Yeah.
I'm in for a very great time with you in here today. And, from the introduction and how you have built what you said earlier on, it's so important to know how I've been trying to, prove that is real, in the sense most people tend to somehow look themselves and see how they get divorcing who they really are, from themselves. So how have you been trying as much as possible within the society to be the real you, irrespective of what, the social construct is, irrespective of what and the society are trying to box men, how they should be, what they should do, how they should look, how they should portray themselves over the period you've been in the niche?
Yeah, no, that's a great question as well. And you know, I think it's about the creative act. I think that the creative act of integrating business with creativity with the arts as well, which is a form of creativity, right? It's something that is not promoted enough. It's obviously something that's not carried out or lived, you know, a lot, but it's something that it's a new frontier, it's a new horizon, you know what I'm saying? And we're making it up as we go along. It reminds me of a sculpture of a man who is chiseling his own existence. I can't remember the name of the sculpture, but I saw it in Minnesota, and I thought like, wow, that's me. You know, I'm a block of stone, but I am coming out of that stone, chiseling my own existence, my own you know, reality, my own future from myself, right? So we have to, you know, creatively connect with others in order to build a nation of, you know, business creatives.
As I'm hearing you speak, Kyle, you take me back to the awareness that creatives are highly sensitive and empathetic, and they are connected to the world around them.
Yeah, definitely.
What that also means is they are in touch with their feminine side.
Mm.
And the world is not always appreciative of masculinity that is in touch with its femininity. The balance is what makes the world work. Balance is what eliminates the conversation about toxic masculinity. But when men show up with that creative, sensitive side, those men like you, men like Kunle, have to deal with certain stigma or certain ramifications for daring to care and daring to be sensitive.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about how that has been and how are you navigating that?
Well, the truth is that both men and women have an X chromosome. Women have two X chromosomes, and men have one X chromosome. So we're wired to be sensitized to the feminine as men. And it also shows how we should be leaders too, because a woman does not have a Y chromosome, right? And women can lead, but men can lead also, but in a different kind of way, because they are physically composed of masculine and feminine, whereas women are composed of strictly feminine. And I'm speaking from a genetic standpoint. Socially, of course, that's different. You know, of course, women are very effective leaders. You know, we have a female hopeful for the president of the United States, you know, who's going to be leading us should she win. So I think it's important for men to understand that we are supernaturally created with an X and Y chromosome, which just sensitizes to the female side of things.
Oh, wow. That's so amazing. And that was so on point, you know, sharing with us the makeup of what men should be, or what men are, you know, through the genetic constituent somehow, if I should put it that way, the X and Y chromosome, you know, and there's a form of creativity right in there as well. And I want you to talk to us about what keeping it real means, and because most men, and then most especially people who are in the creative niche, might think maybe keeping it real in that aspect might be dissociating yourself, because that's like the notion people have, that these are the set of people who will have to dissociate themselves from the society to gain insight, to gain maybe ideas, to conceptualize things. And that kind of put a lot of people into a kind of isolation in that regard. But I don't think that is how we can be whole, you know, as human. I want
Right.
you to talk to us how you keeping it real personally, and how you can also shed light into that area for those who are watching, how to keep it real, being a creative, and then maintaining a striking balance in other
Yeah.
areas of their lives.
Yeah, I think in order to keep it real, you have to be independent, right? You have to um self-educate, you know, in order to spread your message and spread your you know, vision, amongst different social sets, So I think self-education is key. For me, it's self-educating myself. I'm constantly self-educating myself with the latest technologies, online technologies, communication technologies, so that, with just a few clicks of a button, I can make an impact. I think that, technology is the key to, um, making these visionary and prophetic spaces real, and Dr. Kaz, you mentioned, that you wanted me to talk about my book. Well, that's what my book is about. It's about leveraging technology towards the creative in order to unite and engage the entire globe. Like, so for example, if you're using a Google search or a social media platform, in it there are usually buttons that allow you to translate messages, so you can carry on a conversation with someone who's speaking Hindi or who's speaking Dutch or any other language. You can have a full conversation with them because you have the technology to translate what they're saying, if you don't know that language, you know what I'm saying? So that's where the power of AI is growing, because now it's automated, where you can communicate with people in different languages, whereas before, you have to translate, for example, on my blog, metarhythm.info, and I'll share that with you all in the chat. I last night, just like we're doing now, we're recording our conversation, and then it can be transcribed with just a click of a button, and then and then you can publish the conversation in a future work. You know what I'm saying? So that's just one of the many ways that we can leverage technology towards spreading a message and informing the globe as to what our vision is.
Perfectly put, Kyle. And I was just watching a news report this morning as I was getting dressed. And research shows that almost 35 to 40% of people watch and listen to podcasts regularly.
Yes.
Podcasts and online medium of free content has become a source of education. It's a source of
Yes.
knowledge.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
fact that today we are here, you're in the United States, I'm in the Caribbean, Kunle is in Nigeria and
There we
Africa.
go.
And this is a microcosm of what technology has made possible, right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
and I met in class in a physical environment, but that's not how we're teaching anymore.
Right.
Everything is distance learning, everything is technology enabled.
Mhm.
So to me, technology is no longer a tool.
Mhm.
Technology is the very essence of existence. We all
Yes.
lived in the space time continuum in
Yes.
the context of technology, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's hosting us. And when education and technology are democratized,
Mm.
we can truly cut through the divide and
Mhm.
start bringing people together and take away the other, or you're different from me, or you are better than me. All of
Mhm.
that goes away when these two things are democratized.
Yeah.
How do you see the creatives using technology to bring the harmony we need in the world? The
Mhm.
reason I say that is in every juncture of human conflict, it
Mhm.
has always been the creatives who brought people together,
Yeah.
not the strategists,
Mm-mm.
not the capitalists, but the
Right.
creatives. So
Yeah.
we're sensitized to the human experience.
Mhm.
And I always say people talk about sympathy, people talk about empathy. Sympathy is intellectual, empathy is feeling,
Yeah.
compassion is action.
Hmm.
Creatives can take that sympathy and empathy and translate that into actual compassionate action.
Hmm.
How do you see us shaping the world to get it to a better place than where we are today? Because
Yeah.
it's a little scary.
Yeah, no, definitely. In the tech industry, which I've been working in now, formally since 2015, but I've been part of online communities since 1996, as I mentioned before, while I was in college. So, um, the way that we can leverage technology is to is to connect, and how do we connect? We have to master these programs in order to connect. Sometimes it takes me months to learn how to maximize a particular platform. For example, there's a new platform called Blast Radio, and it's primarily a podcast streaming platform that's geared towards musicians, but anybody utilizing this platform can stream their content. In the industry, in the tech industry, there's a saying that content is king. So our content is our intellectual property. So it's up to us to make that intellectual property available to those that can benefit from it. So we're literally shaping the intellect with our content. So we have to be very responsible with how we present ourselves online and our content and how we share it with others, because it can be misconstrued. That's one of the backlashes of technology, is that sometimes you're not present with the person, so you can't read their facial expressions, or sometimes you may not necessarily be able to feel their vibes. You know what I'm saying? So we have to really communicate our content and spread our content and translate our content in a way that is clear and concise, and that gets the message across as intended. So it's intentionality that needs to be infused within the content that we choose to share.
Hmm. I mean, that's the key word there, intentionality. I mean, the
Yes.
more we are intentional about even our own lives generally, the better it's going to be for everybody. And like you mentioned, there is no limit to what we can achieve when we leverage on the power of technology. I mean, we could see, and it was obvious during the COVID-19 lockdown, and it's a global lockdown. If not for the power of technology, we would have been physically isolated and at the same time virtually isolated as well. But we have so many means of creating, great connections. And, it was during that period, Dr. Kas and I were able to connect, and the connection has become so strong, with the passing of each day. And we're doing a whole lot of things together. And here we are also talking, and we are connected with, the technology that can drive a whole lot of things in our world. And you have a book in this regard. I know you mentioned it earlier on. I want you to talk to us. What is like the brevity about this book? What does this book encapsulate in totality? If I after reading the book, what should I expect after the last page? Or yeah, let me put it that way, the last page of the book. Talk to us, Kate.
Yeah. I think what you can take away from the book is that there are a multitude of ways to communicate a single vision, whether it's poetry, whether it's prose, whether it's a music review, whether it's an interview with a creative, whether it's an essay, whether it's a novel, whatever literary format that you choose to use, it can be conveyed in a way that is unique to your vision, and the book is a way to transmit that vision, whether it's a physical book or a digital ebook. Okay, so, basically, my vision for the book is my vision for the world. And my vision for the world is for us to be connected in an intimate way in which we are sensitized to one another's various plights and can perhaps be aids to one another as we, make this life journey. So it's just my contribution to, that particular idea of connectivity, universal connectivity, ethereal connectivity, is what, the book is about, so you might not even be familiar with some of the content, but the way the content is communicated, you can translate it into your own reality. And that's what it's about. I gain a certain kind of power from bass-driven music. And you all may not listen to that kind of music, but my translation of that music in poetic form might make it more attractive to someone who is not involved in the kind of music adventures that I'm involved in.
So I've had the honor and pleasure of reading the book, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. So I encourage our audience to actually go and check it out. When we make this release, Kyle, we will make sure that your book is accessible, your LinkedIn is accessible, and folks can get a hold of you. What's
Sounds good.
fascinating for me is the fact that you talk about the solution is for us to get interconnected, for us to take perspective. And the nugget there is we don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree without denigrating one another.
Right.
And that is where our humanity is. So as we bring this to a close, if you had a word of wisdom or a call to action as a creative for our world, what would that be? And with that, Kunle will take us off the air.
2 words: be yourself, no matter what. Going back to the earlier point of being creative and being um, a man who is sensitized to the feminine side, that unique outlook and approach and treatment of other human beings is organic to change, positive change, and we were created a certain way. Each of us was created the way that we look, the way that we talk, the way that we think, the way that we act. We are all encompassing a very specific gift. So we must realize that we are all gifts to one another. And what do you do with gifts? You share gifts, you don't just buy gifts, I mean, yes, someone can purchase my services, that are powered by my gifts. But I think there's more currency when you freely give the contents of your gift to those that can benefit from it.
Hmm. That was aptly put, and I love the 2 words, be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so amazing. I mean, that's like the cap-off point for anyone who is watching right in here. And just before we wrap things up, I want you to share with us how people can reach you, and if they want to get the book, also how they can get it as well.
Yeah, the book is ØRGLN.city. So ORGAN.CITY. You can find it online, http:///organ.city. That's the book. And you can just basically Google my name, Khalil Crawford, and you can see a lot of information about me and find my social links. All my social links are KAHL1L0. So I'm on Twitter or X. I'm on Facebook. I'm very active on those platforms. as well as Tumblr. And then I have a blog, a creative blog called Metariddim, and that's METTARIDDIM.info, metariddim.info. And then, of course, for those of you that are close to Dr. Kas, you can get my email from her. And then, of course, on LinkedIn, same subdomain, KAHL1L0, Khalil Crawford on LinkedIn.
Wow, Khalil, that's been so wonderful having you on the man's space. And
Yeah.
we really appreciate the simplicity with great precision and comprehension that you really dished out every insight that you're dishing out on the show. And I am so sure everyone who is watching will definitely want more, and they will wish to connect with you and also to get a copy of your book. And that's how we do it on the Man's Space. Use the space as a medium of reaching out to so many people, as well as giving like a free space, an open place for men to share and care for each other as we do, because that is very important in our world. We will come time and time again and again, with great people who have great insights that will build our society together for us to experience great impact altogether, to create a shift that is necessary in building our communities that will transcend into building a whole nation generally. Till we see you again. Cheers.
Amen. Cheers. Thank you.